All right, I am back, guys, and this is the Verse series, second in the series here. Who had the better music between Kiss and Alice Cooper? And we're going to get down to this right now. We're starting off with Kiss first. I heard of Kiss. They're very, very recognizable with their white and black makeup and their gothic black leather outfits they had. They had some good songs. I mean, when you hear the band Kiss, the first song that comes to mind to me is "Rock and Roll All Night." Then Detroit Rock City. You have "God of Thunder," which is another good one. I just discovered that last year. That was it's a really cool song. I had an album. It was a double disc album called Kiss Alive. It was a concert that they did back in the '70s. I had "Rock and Roll All Night." I think Detroit Rock City might have been on that. There's a song called "Black Diamond." There's a couple of other ones. There was one other song that they did. It was for a music video that they did, but they were out of their makeup stuff because they got away from that. I think it's like it was like in the '80s or so. It was like in the mid '80s. That they just went as themselves instead of being all dressed up and stuff. Kiss. Besides "God of Thunder," Detroit Rock City, "Rock and Roll All Night," those are the only three songs that I really have heard of theirs that I know that are really good, that I really enjoy the most. The rest of their stuff, So I've heard of Black Diamond. I haven't heard that in years. I'm gonna have to get back online here and on YouTube and just type in them and listen to a lot more of their stuff. But the band consisted of Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. So Paul Stanley was basically the singer of the band. I thought it was Gene Simmons because Gene Simmons has been the most famous one. But Paul Stanley is the one that is the vocal guitar player. And Peter Criss was the drummer, and I believe Ace Frehley, I think, was guitar, and I think Gene Simmons was bass. I'm not sure. I've never kept up to date with Kiss, to be honest, but besides that, they had, like I said, they had some good stuff. Very, very good stuff. We'll be talking about Alice here in a minute, but. They're very, very recognizable because when I worked at a school district, at one of the school districts where I worked at, I had a teacher who was a driver's ed instructor. His classroom filled with Kiss stuff. He had posters, he had the action figures, the Kiss Cycle Circus stuff. Just a big diehard fan of Kiss, and you can tell that. I never got a chance to ask him why are you a big Kiss fan, but they're out there. It's good stuff. For crying out loud, they actually got Funko Pops of them coming out that you can get on pre-order right now. They're coming out, I think, in September, I believe. But yeah, I think my favorite member of Kiss would have to be maybe Ace Frehley, maybe the Starman. I think that's what his persona was supposed to be. Gene Simmons is the Demon. Peter Criss was the Catman because how their makeup, how their face paint was. Or was Paul Stanley the Starman? I'm not really sure because I know he had a star around his eye and stuff with the face paint. But yeah. So now we're going to move into Alice Cooper here, and this guy here has been around since the 70s, so is Kiss. A lot of songs I know from Alice Cooper are I'm 18, No More, Mr. Nice Guy, No More, dun 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 dun, stuff like that. And then you get to Friday the 13th, Part 6 from 1986. He had two songs. I believe he had three songs in that. He had He's Back, The Man Behind the Mask, which had an awesome music video to that. Teenage Frankenstein, and then he had Hard Rock Summer, which was another good one. I remember buying the cassette of his 1989 album, Trash, which you guys will be seeing in the thumbnails here. But that's another version of like his. That was another picture, but there's a picture of him like in the black leather coat or jacket, and just like this with a really cool T-shirt. I had the cassette. I first heard that because one of my older brothers had the cassette as well. He would play it all the time. I mean, every song on that album was just pure gold. I mean, he had Poison, Spark in the Dark. You had House of Fire. You had Bed of Nails, Hell's Living Without You, This Maniac's in Love with You, Only My Heart Talking, I'm Your Gun, all that stuff. Just great stuff. And then years later, he had a song called Dragon Town that came out, I think, in the 2000s. Good stuff. You just name it, man. I mean, the Constrictor album that he had, that's the one that had the Constrictor album that Alice Cooper had back in the 80s. That album had the man behind. He's back, the man behind the mask on it. And he too would have a presence on stage. He'd have like face paint around the eyes. He kind of looked like the Crow a little bit, except for like the white paint. But they would call him, I think, between him and Kiss, they're like shock rockers, I think. I don't know what the term is, but I mean, you're up there on stage, but you're like dressed up in costume and whatnot, whatever it is. We're not talking like Gwar level, which I'm not a really big fan of Gwar, but yeah, he would bring a vibe like I think that's where they got the idea for the Crow with Brandon Lee, is with like the eye face paint like that. I think that's where they might have gotten that from, is because Alice Cooper. I'm not really sure what their thing is with the Crow, how they came up with that idea. Yeah, Alice would have all that. I mean, he'd wear like the black leather gloves. I remember the leather jacket with like the spikes on it, and the one video that he was in was for Bed of Nails. I mean, that was really cool. But now I've heard more of Alice Cooper because that's who I grew up listening to than Kiss. So the thing is, now we're at the point of this video where I have to make a decision who had the better music between Kiss and Alice Cooper, and here's my answer. This is my opinion. Everybody else is going to have a different one. So my choosing is Alice Cooper because I feel a connection with the music. Love the music. A lot of his songs I've heard more of than Kiss. I just think a lot of his music is just, it's awesome. It's great. I mean, to see him evolve from 1970 all the way up to the 80s with a lot of these really cool songs. I mean, my goodness, three of his songs made it into Friday the 13th Part 6. And like from some Friday the 13th fans, Part 6 is their favorite Friday the 13th. It's not mine, but I can see why it is with some people. But you do have three of his songs in there: Hard Rock Summer, Teenage Frankenstein, and then He's Back, the Man Behind the Mask. So yeah, without further ado, I'll repeat it once again. Who had the better music? In my opinion, Alice Cooper. And that is it, guys. See you guys back in the next one.